Kia ora e hoa, haere mai, come and join me. I've got something a little bit different. Well, they're books. We are going to have a story, but these books aren't picture books. They're early readers for kids just like you who are just starting to read all by themselves. They're chapter books. This is the first one. This is the birthday solution. There's the Christmas visitors, the pet problem, and the art project. How about we start with book 1? Would you like to do that? That's a good place to start, isn't it? At the beginning. Well, the first one, the birthday solution. The series is called Eugene's Island, and this is Eugene here. The stories are written by Elizabeth Kirkby-McLeod, and they're illustrated by Anna McKesser. Let's find out what happens to Eugene. If you can read the words, you could read along with me. Eugene, that's his name. Eugene had a problem. A big problem. Piles of boxes filled his bedroom. But that wasn't the problem. He had to break up his best superhero Lego set. But that wasn't the problem. No. His problem was the news his dad and mum had just told him. We have good news and bad news, boys, Dad said to Eugene and his little brother Miles. The good news is that the Parks Department gave us a move-in date, said Mum. Yes, that's right. But the bad news is that we need to move on your birthday, Eugene, replied Dad. We're sorry it's on your birthday, but we can still have a cake with your friends before we leave, said Mum. Couldn't we go another day? Eugene asked. I wish we could, buddy, but it's not up to me, Dad replied. Will I still get my presents? Eugene asked. I already have my present for you, said Miles, smiling. Mum and Dad smiled too. Yes, presents will still happen, replied Mum. Everyone looked at Eugene. He wanted to smile like they were, but his teeth were clamped together and his stomach hurt. Capiche? Asked Mum. Eugene took a deep breath through his nose. Kapow, he managed to say. Mum and Dad's smiles grew wider. Eugene knew it was good his dad had a new job on their very own island looking after important birds. He knew the birds needed his dad's help. But he wished his birthday wasn't on the day they had to move. Seeing Eugene's face, Mum said, Don't be sad, love. Your birthday will still be just as special on the island. More special. Not many children get to have a birthday on a bird island, Dad said. Eugene wanted to believe Mum and Dad, but back in his bedroom, he wasn't so sure that they were right. Look at his face. He's not very happy about having to have his birthday on the move, is he? Chapter 2. Do we get to keep this boat? Asked Miles. He and Eugene sat in a Parks Department boat, while their mum and dad tied it to the jetty. I think so. It's the only way to get here or to go back to town, replied Eugene. Kapow, said Miles. A stone beach ran up to a grass bank where they could see a house. Behind the house sat some sheds and a garden. Eugene's dad had told him that they would have to make and grow all they needed, or Oh, look, there's the house there, surrounded by bush. Or wait for the next boat to bring it. Can we get out now, Dad? Shouted Eugene. Yes, go for it, said Dad. Jumping out of the boat, Eugene and Miles ran across the jetty and put their feet on the island for the first time. We have a lot of work to do to get the house sorted. You boys can look around if you want, but be careful, Dad said. Everything was different here. Even the air smelled different than at home, more salty and fishy. There were no dogs or cats, but Eugene found black crabs and sea snails under every stone he moved. Let's fly my new kite, he said, after he had turned over every interesting stone on the beach, and Mum and Dad were still moving boxes out of the boat. They rushed up to the house and found the box Eugene had written birthday presents on, only that morning. He rifled through it, looking for his new kite shaped like a bird. Grabbing the kite handle, he gave the rest to Miles to hold. Eugene gripped the handle and ran down the beach, unravelling a line of string. "Throw!" he shouted to Miles. But the kite didn't go up. Instead, it dragged along the stones like a bird with a broken wing. "You need to run faster," shouted Miles. "I can't run fast on these stones. Throw it high in the air, capiche?" Eugene shouted back. "Kapow!" shouted Miles. But Eugene did try running faster. The kite might fly this time. But as he ran, Eugene's foot hit a stone and he fell. "Ow!" he cried, hitting his knee hard on the stones. "Are you okay?" asked Miles, running up to him. "No," cried Eugene. His leg was bleeding and his knee stung. He blinked as fast as he could to stop tears filling his eyes. Miles helped him up. Eugene gripped Miles' shoulder. "Ow! Ow! Ow!" he cried, with each hop along the beach to their new house. When they got there, Mum was saying, "I can't believe they don't have any." "Don't have any what?" asked Miles, forgetting Eugene was hurt. "There are no spoons or forks here. We'll have to get the next boat to bring some over tomorrow," said Dad, his head inside a tall box. "OK, we can't have mac and cheese for tea though," said Mum. "What? Why?" cried Eugene. "It's my birthday tea." Mum finally looked properly at the boys. "Eugene, you're bleeding. What happened?" "Why can't we have mac and cheese?" he asked again. "We need a spoon or fork to eat it," she replied, looking for the box with the first aid bag. "What could we eat?" asked Dad. "Pie," replied Mum. "Yum!" shouted Miles. "No, that's Miles's birthday food. It's not his birthday," shouted Eugene. Everyone looked at Eugene. He felt like he was sunburned all over his skin and inside his body too. "It's not fair," he shouted. "It's my birthday, and we couldn't have my cake on the day. The kite you gave me can't fly. I'm hurt and bleeding. And now I can't have my special birthday tea. I want to go home," he shouted, turning around and pushing Miles down as he stomped out the door. "Hey!" Dad shouted as Miles began to cry. But Eugene didn't stop. He ran on his hurt leg away from the house and down to the beach, wishing he could swim all the way home. Chapter 3. Eugene picked up a fistful of stones. "It's not fair! It's not fair!" he shouted, throwing stone after stone into the water, making it bubble and splash. He hadn't meant to hurt Miles, but it wasn't fair that he had to move away from all his friends on his birthday. And it wasn't fair that he couldn't have his special birthday food. Blood still dripped off his leg, but he couldn't go back to the house after shouting at everyone. Hearing Dad walking across the stones toward him, Eugene slumped down. Dad folded himself over and sat down beside Eugene, who waited to be told off. But Dad didn't shout. Instead, he gave Eugene the first aid bag and began turning over shells without talking. "You said it would be a special birthday, but it's like it isn't even my birthday at all," said Eugene at last. "Do you know that the day you were born, I cried?" Dad said. Eugene shook his head. "Your mum was so great, so calm." "Not me. I held you and we cried together. I looked at you and thought about the world you'd grow up in, and I decided I was going to make your world a great place, full of birds and trees and clean rivers. That's why I was so happy to get this job." His dad now had a little mountain of shells in front of him. Looking at them, Eugene felt a small idea grow. Could he make just one thing go right for his birthday? Yes, he was sure his idea would work. "I'm having mac and cheese for my birthday tea," he said to his dad. "Eugene," his dad began. "I am. Come on, I'll show you how," Eugene said. How is he going to have mac and cheese when there are no spoons or forks? We'll find out in Chapter 4. Eugene's toes bounced around under his seat. Everyone sat eating his special birthday tea, mac and cheese, using shells instead of spoons. Eugene and Miles had collected them from the beach after he'd told everyone his idea. Some shells were the colour and size of an apricot, some stripy like a rugby shirt, some as bumpy as the house roof, others as flat as their plates. But they all worked. "Capiche?" he asked. "Kapow!" said Miles. "After this, we'll get your kite to fly on the grass out the back," said Dad. "And we can keep some of these shells for breakfast tomorrow," said Eugene. "For sure," said Mum. "You know, Eugene, I think you're going to do really well at Island Life," said Dad. As he ate the last of his mac and cheese, Eugene decided that maybe his dad was right. And that's the end of the story. The story finishes here. There are more words here, but this explains about Book 2. This one here, The Christmas Visitors. Did you enjoy that story? Eugene had a hard start at Island Life, didn't he? But he worked out a great birthday solution. Now remember, there are 4 books in the Eugene Island series. They're written by Elizabeth Kirkby-McLeod and they're illustrated by Anna McKesser. And you can find out more about them, and the website is eugenesisland.com. And if you like another Eugene story, well, you might have to go and get the series yourself. Or maybe I could read another one soon. Well, thanks for joining me, my friend. Come and visit me again soon. Ka kite.